Good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really enjoying to be there at the council. And today I will speak about cloud operation and how to automate tasks with system manager and open source tools. So I was trying to find a way to describe myself, and I say, okay, I'm a community builder, I'm the co-founder of a company, but what describes me precisely? I'm an automation guy who loves to be part of a community. And I want to start from the first point. I'm an automation guy, and one of the mentors that inspired me the most, it's Michio Hashimoto, the creator of HashiCorp. And in a blog post some years ago, he wrote a phrase that reflects perfectly who I am. So if I had to do anything twice, I would write a program to do it. I want to script everything because I'm really a lazy guy. But what's the today main topic? Today main topics is the cloud operation and what are the cloud operation? AWS Cloud Operation provides a model and tools for a secure and efficient way to operate in cloud. You can transform your organization, modernize, and migrate your application, and accelerate your innovation on AWS. Okay, but that's basically a lot of things, okay? There are a huge set of capabilities to improve our security, governance, operation, and help us automate everything, and self-service access, and so on. So today, I want to emphasize on a specific use case. The developer use case. So I have had experience in starting new teams in the cloud development, and these are the main topics I've seen as a pain point when you have to begin a cloud journey. AAM, for sure, it's hard to explain, and it's the first service everyone have to learn to work in cloud. Then there is networking. Then there is, okay, but how about the local development and how I can test my code now that I'm working in a cloud native solution? And there is infrastructure as code, but there are plenty of sessions about infrastructure as code today, so I don't want to talk about that today. So this brings to the main point of the conversation about how a single developer can start his cloud journey and help how he's working in cloud. And to me, it's all about the developer experience. GitHub has made a formula for developer experience, and this is a combination of productivity, so how quickly we can work, we can do our IT operation, and impact, so how frictionless is to move from having an idea to moving that to production, and the satisfaction, so how happy we are when we are coding and how good is our experience while we are working. So today I want to work on that with a practical example. Today I want to present you to Andrea, your lovely IT operation engineer, and our journey today is to fight against a set of common cloud operation I have faced in my cloud journey, and I want to show my experience with that. So let's start. Let's prepare Andrea to this fight. Does anyone is a Pokemon fan? I am. So there will be a lot of Pokemon in this presentation, and we will start with the first one, IAM credential. It's the first thing we have to do. We have to access to AWS in order to work. And there are a lot of services to manage credential, a lot of ways to access AWS, and how we can automate this tedious action to access both programmatically and via console to our accounts. So I was back in 2015, and in the company I was working on, we had a problem in managing programmatic access via AAM role federated. AWS introduced AAM role federated, but there was no way to access programmatically through them via the SAML assertion. Plus, we wanted that all the company credentials were short-lived and constantly rotated. So basically, we were wrestling against the AWS folder, adding profiles, deleting them, and basically the AWS folder, it's just a plain text file in our laptop. And we don't want our people to manage that kind of file. And basically, the AWS ecosystem evolved over time, and with AWS organization, identity center, control tower, and a lot of services comes out, the problem were escalating quickly. How many times happens today to switch from an AWS account to another one in a single day? A lot to me, really a lot of times. And how about managing credentials for a whole team? How can ensure that the best practices of short-lived credential, keep your credential in a safe place, and so on, are followed by all the team? And that's why the first internal of this tool has been built. Then we saw that there were a lot of people interested in the project, so we open sourced it, and within the help of the community, we had a lot of feedback to have more kind of access method to access. So this small tool has become LEAP. LEAP is the first desktop app and CLI that allows you to access your accounts in a single click, both programmatically and via console. LEAP as a tool has been developed with a security in mind first approach. So all the sensible information to access your AWS data are stored encryptedly. And regardless of the access method, each session you are seeing there is shown in the app as a component. So you just have to click. And it manages AAM user, AAM role federated, cross-account roles, so assume role, and AWS Identity Center. We will see further the project in the demo later. So, first fight, AAM credential, done. We won. Let's go to the second round, least privilege. Okay, now I have my code, I have developed my code, but now I have to move the code to production. And the manager say, okay, but you have to ensure that policy follow the least privilege, the principle of least privilege. That's really easy to understand what's the meaning of the principle of least privilege. I have to give the user only the exact access necessary to do that, to do the action he has to do. Once again, easy to understand, hard to achieve. And I found out a really good open source project that helped my developer experience in doing that, made by Ian McKay and an Australian AWS hero. In 2018, AWS introduced the feature of client-side monitoring, enabling the CLI to send all the AWS action via UDP to a local port. YAM Live can generate the least privilege policy together with Parliament, which is another open source tool that is able to generate policy from code. So, AN Live, we will see a demo also of that, but basically you just have to start AAM Live, and once you do every action, it generates your least privilege policy. So let's see these two projects, and then we can move on. Perfect. this is Leap. This is the application. And as you can see here, I can have different sessions like AWS single sign-on session, AAM role federated, AAM cross-account roles from another account, and I have all my session there. What I can do, if I start my demo, what happens? That the app automatically, are you seeing the screen in the terminal in the left? Okay. When I click on start a session, automatically the app generates a set of short-lived credentials instantly. So when I start a session, credentials are constantly rotated and generated locally by the app. The app take all your information needed, like AAM user, credential, and from then generate a set of short-lived credentials by calling locally AWS STS. Okay, but we achieved that, but we want more. Like, okay, but how about if I want to access my account via console? And how about if I don't have to anytime access to the console and re-log in again and again? And what if one of the main scenario why we have done it, this feature is, and what if I have to work on 2 different accounts at the same time, which is a little bit of a pain. We have created a web extension that works locally with the desktop app, within the help of the community, in which you can start working with as many accounts as you want at the same time. So I can have different accounts, and I can move from an account to another one just by moving from tab. And this is amazing for us. It saves us a lot of times. So we achieved also that credential. On the other side, if I have AAM live online, I can just look into my bucket, and once I made a call, AAM live generates the policy, which is amazing. Okay. So first 2 challenges done. Let's go to the third one. Switch back to the presentation. So we are ready to move to more difficult cloud operation. How about access to EC2 instances? How many of you are still using key pairs to access to your EC2 instances? We had that problem for many customers, and we get rid of that long time ago. Okay, with one of the most underrated services of AWS to me, AWS System Manager. AWS System Manager is the Swiss knife of the AWS services. The following diagram describes some capabilities of AWS System Manager and how it can perform actions on your resources. This diagram doesn't cover all the capabilities, but System Manager verifies that your user, group, and role has the required AAM permission to perform the action you specified in the target of your managed role. Inside each instances, there is a system manager agent running to perform the action requested. One of the capabilities is for sure Fleet Manager, and that this is an unified interface of all your managed nodes inside AWS or outside AWS. Okay, if you manage an on-premise instance to have the system manager agent installed, you can see that also in System Manager, or even in another cloud provider. You can centralize all your instances in a single place. And the only need is a read-only AAM role to see what instances are covered by that. And on each managed node, you have to attach the AAM role for System Manager. So within the agent installed in the EC2 instance, we can access public instances by calling the SSM start session command. Or by setting a system manager endpoint, you can reach also private instances directly without any VPN and connect to them without any key pair. By doing that, we are improving the cloud experience of not still managing key pairs, and on the other side, letting AAM doing his role, managing who can access where, even on the direct nodes. And for me, that at the time was a really game changer. I can get rid of those of key pairs, and I decided to create a script and put the script inside my open source project to find a best way to do that action. So what happens that when a user asks for accessing to an EC2 instance from a specific session, so from a role or a user, Leap generate a one-time credential just to retrieve to you all the information needed to access to the instance and create a terminal session within the environment variable set with a one-shot credential to access to your EC2 instance. Let's see it in action. So what I have to do, I just have to go to select the session, select the region, and connect to an instance. Automatically, the terminal spawn and generate, and I can be in a click inside an EC2 instance. So once again, we won this fight. Let's go on the first level. This was a little bit annoying for us. How about RDS databases? Everybody needs to access to databases for local testing, for development, for logging. And I was looking for a way to do it without any VPN. And once again, who comes to the rescue? System Manager. System Manager has another capabilities, which is AWS System Manager documents, and they are of three types: command, policy, and automation. They are defined by the schema that can vary on the type of document, and a description, the parameter needed, and a specific AAM role called pass role, which is in which the action have the permission to work on. The document will have this role assumed to perform each step in the document. And then there are the main step of the document. So all the steps that this document has to work in your AWS account. We created, with System Manager, we perform the action with a document called AWS Start Port Forwarding Session to remote host for this use case. So we just need an EC2 instance that acts as a bridge, and we can access to that EC2 instance in a private subnet, and with that instance, I can forward the traffic direct from my database to my local machine. Everything with System Manager. There was a cool feature. We wanted a way to automate that, but the community haven't made it before us. In LEAP, we were trying to find a way to help our people to collaborate to the open source project. So we created the plugins. Plugins are a simple action that you can describe in a TypeScript class of 40 lines of code in which you can work with the desktop app to create action and shortcuts to AWS. A community member has generated a plugin that forward traffic from an instance automatically just by clicking that. I mentioned the Leap plugins. We just started with Leap plugins, so by now you can interact via web console or via terminal and script action on that. What we want to do in the roadmap of Leap plugins is to interact via code directly into the app with components. So I want to drag and drop S3 file inside my AWS account. I want to create a plugin that can do that inside the bucket I need. So create shortcut and operate better in our cloud. We can move to the second demo, and we can see those two actions. So inside the app, I will have my account, and I see the plugins. Inside the plugin, I can start, after configuring with the file you just saw in the previous slide, my tunnel. Automatically, the app generates the tunnel. And we had two main use cases for that today. One is I need to access to my database, okay? So I have my database, and now since it's in a private, it's a private database, I can access to that database just because of the tunnel. On the other side, we had a customer that asked us a peculiar feature that they want to access to their Windows instances within remote desktop, but without any key pair. We manage it to do it. Here, the instance is working since we are creating a tunnel, and with the tunnel we are reaching the instance and opening the right port to access to that instance. So what I can do, I can just log into my instances. And automatically, I'm inside a private Windows instance inside my AWS account in a single click. Okay, as you can see, in a single click, because I don't want to repeat the same action every time, since I'm really lazy. Okay, let's go back to the presentation. How about testing the cloud? How about how I can improve my cloud development by automate how I can test the cloud, and how I can work with the cloud, maybe not by calling directly AWS. Does anyone know LocalStack? LocalStack is a cloud emulator that allows you, it's an open source project also, which is a cloud emulator that spun up a Docker container in which emulate AWS with a lot of services. And by doing that, you can start removing the direct dependencies, dependencies with AWS in testing, and then you can deploy to AWS after the testing. In the app, we created a method to call in the same method, so with the CLI, both AWS and the local stack just by switching from an account to another one. You can create your local stack session and you can switch from a specific session that works with AWS by doing the same call, like a list bucket, and it call the local container. So even there, we won. But why I'm really obsessed with automation? Why I say that I love automate everything? For sure, I can ensure that automated tasks are not error prone. And this is priceless for me. And that's why a small project has become my IT Operations Center of Excellence. Because on Leap, I want to centralize all my cloud operation to improve my developer experience. But we haven't done just because I hope you like the fun logo. I'm the designer of that logo. We haven't done alone. We created that tool within an open source community. We created our open source community with 400 people from all over the world that are asking us feedback on how to better operate in cloud and how to better improve that tool and project to help our everyday life. In the community, we have also an awesome list for the cloud operation in which every week we point out some tools, resources, blogs to follow, and short automation that can save us some time and help us solve our problem. So, going back to my presentation, I'm an automation guy who loves community. I want to connect my journey backwards, and if I have to connect my dots, I'm an automation guy who created an open source project to automate my cloud operation. I made it open source because I like being part of a community. So I created a community around the project to help me and people like me operate better in cloud and do it together with plenty of people from all over the world. So I'm Andrea Cavagna, AWS Community Builder and co-founder of Noovolari. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any question.
Any questions?
So you mentioned having the EC2 for doing things like the tunneling. Do you ever find you get issues with latency if there's lots of developers? Or do they all end up using the same EC2 instance? Do you have to have a really big EC2 instance to handle the traffic? Or
you can manage the logging of different users inside the same EC2 instance. It's everything logged into an S3 bucket and into CloudWatch. So all your action being made by different people are logged, and it's up to the agent to manage the multiple connection.
Any more questions? Okay, well, if you want to continue talking about it, come to the front, and lunch is starting in about 5 minutes. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you. If you like the project, just bump on me.